Hi, welcome back to the channel. This is the second installment of The Grey Man, and I'm looking at this from the close protection point of view, specifically covert protection. A couple of buzzwords here: covert protection and another couple, protective surveillance. And we're looking at it from the Grey Man point of view of not being seen, not being noticed. If you're on LinkedIn, you might have seen a job advert which was good pay rates. I think it was £300 for the shift. Or per day, I think it was for 1 day's work. 2 covert close protection operatives to do RST. So that was an external job because a vehicle was required. Covert protection. And I see this, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, where you get people doing, and you see it all over websites as well, and this is a big misconception. Covert protection sounds really good. If you want to call it that, brilliant. If you want to feel all Gucci, fantastic. But it's not covert protection. So if you're doing high profile protection, you're suited and booted, you're with your client, you're with your P, you're dressed the same as them wherever they're going, and you're high profile, okay? High profile protection. When we're looking at covert, or what people think is covert, is not, because you're going to be seen. You're dressed down, you're like me, you're in a t-shirt, you're casual clothing, yeah? But you're doing the same job as a bodyguard, or or part of the PES, the personal escort section. You're doing the same job, but you're just dressed differently. You're dressed down, you're doing low profile protection. People are going to see you, so people who are mingling around your client, people who are doing business with your client, having meals with your client, coming up and asking for autographs, or wanting selfies if you're in celebrity protection or anything like that, you're going to be noticed, you're going to be seen. Do you wear a wiggly earpiece? Yeah, the full wired earpiece, or do you have a peanut, the wireless earpiece in your ear? That's what I look for, and other people are going to look for that as well. You're going to be noticed. It's not covert protection, it's low profile protection. Covert, what does the word covert mean? It means unseen, secretive, hidden. That's not what you are. Get out of this bullshit. It's not covert protection. I've seen courses. Do a 2-day to a week's course on covert protection. All you're doing is learning what you did on your bodyguard course as a high profile BG, but you're doing it plain clothes. What a load of bollocks. Why pay a load of money to learn the same thing again? So you're going to be seen. People who are doing hostile reconnaissance on your principal are going to notice you. When I look at the next part, which is protective surveillance, I want you to think of 5 different things. Your clothing, distance, time and distance. Time and distance from your principal, you from your principal, your response times, and time and distance from an enemy attacking your principal. What comms do you have? What kit do you have? What are the baselines? And this is one of the big things that people don't understand, is the baselines there. If you're dressed down, you're in casual kit, you're not covert, and you're going to stand out because you're not doing the same things everybody around your principal is doing. You're observing them around your principal for possible signs of risk and threat. Yes, you might be sitting at a table, you might be having a coffee, you might be having a meal, but you're not doing what everybody else is doing. You're observing, and that's what people will pick up on. The people who are doing hostile reconnaissance on your principal will be looking at you as well. And people forget that. They think if they're doing, somebody's doing hostile reconnaissance on a premises, on some people, they forget about the security. Nah, they're going to be looking at you as well. So you're doing the same job as high profile, but you're doing low profile. You're not covert. You're still out there in the open. One of the things I've seen when I've been doing a lot of research on security companies, you can spot. One of the things they say is you can spot, if you're in covert protection mode, you can spot threats quicker. No, you can't, because you're in your little bubble. You've got the BG, you've got the PES in close proximity to run interference there, so the BG can hopefully get him off the X. You're doing the same thing, yeah? You're looking at people in your immediate vicinity. You haven't got eyes out. You aren't looking into the distance. You're looking at the immediate vicinity. So you're not going to spot threats quickly just because you're in a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. Another great one. The average person won't know that you're a BG or you're part of the PES. What a load of bollocks. Okay, most people, when I've been on operations, when I've been dressed down, when I've been doing, you know, protecting businessmen, people, because you're there, you're observing people, you're watching their hands, you're watching what they're doing, where they're standing, how they're approaching, you know, if they're talking to people, you're listening to conversations. They'll go, oh, are you bodyguard? Or are you with the principal? Is it okay to go and ask him a question? Is it okay? They spot you, yeah? They're going to spot you. The average person is going to spot you. But here's the thing, I don't give a shit about the average person. I'm more interested in the people who want to harm my principal. Couldn't give a shit about the average person, whether they spot me or not. Who cares? And nobody ever mentions that on the websites. Yep, the average person won't see you or won't notice you. They will. They will notice you. We always give, and I'm one of the biggest, you know, people. I'm one of the biggest, you know, persons out there. God, that's bad England, isn't it? I'm one of the biggest advocates of people not being aware. But when they are wanting to get to your principal for an autograph, for a selfie, to chat to them, to ask questions, they've seen them on TV, they'll notice you. But they're the ones we're not really bothered about. It's the people who want to attack your principal we want to be bothered about. Another big thing, we're not in a sports game. Yeah, if we lose, somebody's either going to get injured or killed. Again, we're coming down. I know we're coming down to semantics and you know, communications, speech, the written word and everything. But opponents, we haven't got opponents. And I see this on you know, websites. The opponent, get a grip. It's the fucking enemy. Anybody who wants to kill your principal, harm them, kidnap them, do anything, they are an enemy. They're not. But we're not playing chess. We're not playing sports. You know, they will identify you as their enemy. Yeah, not an opponent. You are going to be spotted. So, low profile protection. That one, just quickly before I move on to protective surveillance, the job advert for the RST2 covert protection office operatives need your own car. What does this mean? It means you're going to sit outside your principal's property on a road in a car. Is that covert? Now, if I was a resident in that area, I'd be reporting your ass to the police. Yep, I've got one or two strange men have been sitting in a car outside this house for 3 hours. They're still there 6 hours later. You know, I'm going to report you. I'm going to come up and talk to you. And here's the thing. One of the things I've seen on some blogs, and it was on the prepper ones, the prepper side of things as well, have a character. Have a character. Now, if you don't know hostile surveillance inside out, you don't know the attack cycle, you aren't trained in behavioural detection, I would argue that you shouldn't be even on a protective surveillance detail. But here's the thing, stay in character, have a background in case somebody's talking to you. I can guarantee if you've got somebody questioning you who's really good at getting to the nitty gritty of what you're doing there, and they're starting with closed questions, open questions, probing questions, information overload, they will spot your lies in a couple of minutes. Don't have a character. Yeah, don't be in character. You know, one of the things I don't see, and one of the things that really pisses me off, is the lack of integrity in close protection. So if you're visiting a restaurant, if you're visiting, you know, I don't know, an area, you know, have some professional courtesy. Get in touch with local security companies in those areas and say, look, I'm going to be here, my principal's going to be here, we've got these people in the team, so when security officers are coming up because you're at a table for 2 or 3 hours and you've only had a cup of coffee, you're standing in certain positions, CCTV operators, if they're good at the job, will know you, they'll spot you, you'll come and get questioned. If they know you've got a team in place and who they are and everything else, hey, job's a good one. Protective surveillance, so another made up word. Protective surveillance, if you're doing protective surveillance, one thing I can guarantee, there is no threat to your principal. It's going to be one of two things. Either you're doing protective surveillance as an IBG, that's an individual bodyguard, or a two-man team, or two-person team, let's be a bit EDI here. And you're there, you've been hired to spy on your principal's on the principal's kids, the client's kids. Yeah, you're not doing protective surveillance. If you think you're doing that as an IBG or in a two-person team, how are you going to look at your principal all the time and then spot threats around them when you're nowhere near them? One of the things I've seen is, yeah, we'll always be within arm's reach as a covert operative. Well, of course you're going to be, because it's low profile. When we're looking at protective surveillance, we're looking at the outer ring. You're further away, and that's why you need to be aware of time and distance. The time and distance the enemy are going to get to your principal, and the time and distance you're going to get to your principal to run interference and respond to that threat. It's not going to happen. Gavin de Becker in his book Just 2 Seconds, read that when you're looking at time and distance. Really, really informative. If you're doing protective surveillance, if you're in a team even, there's no threat there's very little threat on your principal. If there was a major threat on your principal, you would have a protective surveillance team, and I'm going to come on to why that's wrong in a minute, but you'd also have a close protection team as well. So you'd have those ever decreasing circles of security there. So, clothing, comms kit, comms, he's a big one, comms, earpieces, okay? If you're on a protective, I'm going to stick with the protective surveillance at the moment, team, how are you communicating? Are you going to be on the phone 2 minutes to each other? If you've got a team, 4 to 5 people, and I'm going to explain why you're going to be spotted again by people who are surveilling the area, your principal and you. Are you doing hand signals? I'm not going to talk about the Charlie Kirk thing openly on a full video, but did you notice the hand signals that the BGs were given? 2 BGs standing to the right of him, touching the caps, touching their arms, giving signals. Be interesting to see who they were giving signals to. Lots of conspiracy theories out there on that, but if it was somebody in the crowd, why was that person facing the stage if he wasn't looking around for threats? Yeah, shouldn't be staring at the stage, shouldn't be staring at the principal. If there was a protective surveillance team there, why was he not observing the threat or possible threats? So comms, one of the things we look at, and the biggest thing, if we're looking at terrorism now, the biggest communications is texting. Yeah. So if my CCTV operators are watching CCTV, if they see people texting, they're observing things, they're not doing what everybody else is doing in that baseline, that gets flagged up. If you're doing everything that is going to get flagged up, somebody's going to be talking to you. So how are you communicating with people? If you've got a BG team and you're the outer circle, how are you communicating with the BG team? One of the things why you're going to get spotted, which a lot of people don't realise, and this upsets a lot of people, you're going to get spotted. And if I was red teaming, doing surveillance on a principal that I wanted to attack, I'd be surveilling them, I'd be putting in red flags all the time. And one of the things that I would be looking for is a protective surveillance team. Yeah, easy monitoring, surveilling a principal and his BG team. Yeah, that's not the big thing. What I would want to know is who's watching out for the attackers, who's watching out for surveillance. I'd be wanting to spot the protective surveillance team. So here's the thing. If you are part of a close protection team where you've got your BG, your PES doing their normal jobs, whether it's high profile or low profile, and you are on the protective detail, you're not doing protective security. You're doing counter surveillance. Yeah, this Gucci word, this made up protective surveillance is another load of bollocks just made up, and it's another Gucci thing. Yeah, let's be all secretive and secret squiddlish. If you're doing counter surveillance, that's what you're doing, and you might even be acting as a CAT team as well. For those who don't know, a counter attack team. But you're there counter surveillance. Yeah, you're watching people who are hopefully going to spot you and doing surveillance on your principal. So I'll give you an example, and I don't want to go on too much more. I've done 14 minutes already. This is a huge subject, and I'm doing it really, really quickly. So my principal had surveillance on him. They had surveillance on us, identifying the close protection team. So we had a counter surveillance team out, observing them, photographing their vehicles, following them, looking at their locations, where their base was, and we went from there. So you need to be able to have a counter surveillance team, not a protective security team, that's working with the BG, the PES, the close protection team. Totally different. It's not protective surveillance, it is counter surveillance. You're watching people following, you're driving 5, 6, 7 cars back, you're watching people who are following him, noting all the cars. So if I was red teaming, I'd be having 2, 3 people observing the whole area with video. So yeah, we'd be following the principal about, but I'd be videoing the whole area and seeing when the principal moves, who else gets up and moves, who goes to the next place, who else sits down, because why they're going to spot you is they've done our training. They've researched us, they know the CP training, they know where the advantageous places where you're going to stand, sit, how you're going to stand, how you're going to sit, what comms you're using, how you're going to dress. They know all this, they've done the training. That's what they would do. So that's what they're looking for. You're going to be spotted. Yeah. So as hard as it may seem, yeah, when we dress down, we've got to try as best we can, but they know our drills. Yeah. What we need to do as a counter surveillance team, and again, like I said, if you don't know behavioural detection, if you don't know surveillance, counter surveillance, anti-surveillance, if you don't know the attack cycle, if you don't know hostile reconnaissance, if you don't know any of that inside out, you shouldn't be on a counter surveillance team. I've done 16 minutes now. I'm not going to carry on too much more. This is a huge subject. I'm going to be doing a couple of hours workshop in October on this, because a lot of things, when we're looking at response times, we're looking at comms, everything else. This is just about the grey man, blending in, which you're not going to, because you're not going to do whatever's on the base. You're not going to be like everybody else, doing what everybody else is on those baselines. The average person, yeah, like I said, if you're a counter surveillance operative, the average person might not notice you. Definitely as a low profile operative, they're going to notice you, and the bad guys out there are going to know what to look for. I hope that's helped. That's going to cause some controversy. I know it did last time when I wrote about this. I'd like your thoughts, comments. Please leave a comment below on your thoughts. Stay dangerous. My name's Rock Higgins, Viper Tractor Training.